Hi guys, it's Will. Guess what? It is Tuesday. Look at that. It's a beautiful day out there. Guess what? I can't get the phone to work right here. Guess what? It's Tuesday. Tuesday is story time with Will. The story is getting pretty darn good, you guys. Yeah, we're gonna start on book 5 of chapter 13 this morning, and guess what? It's gonna be interesting. Hey, I'll catch you on the other side. We're going to start it, okay? See you there. All right, morning, guys. Will, just time prepping. How you guys doing? Oh, we're on a good chapter. It's a long one for sure. Remember, we're still on chapter 13, and we're still taking place. The name of the chapter is Guns and Magic. And we have come a long way. We're just going to start book 5 of chapter 13 today. It's all about February 14th of 2013. Name of the book that we're reading is Survivor by Angela White. And man, it has been a good book. Let me look down here. We are... looks like we're almost 30% through the book. So, it's a good one. We're going to start book 5 today. So, let's just get going, okay? Get my thinking glasses on here. Alright, here we go into book 5, you guys. Short time later, Angela jerked out of a deep sleep, the first she'd had since leaving Cincinnati. Weak alarm bells blared as the second time in the same night, and she pushed herself up. But the door in her mind refused to swing open. She was too tired. Marc woke the second she sat up, heart thumping at the sight of his dream woman with sleep still on her. "We have to get out of here," she said. He pulled on his boots and hesitating, and the clink of his dog tag caught her ear as he stood up to fasten the jeans he discreetly loosened. The sexy strip of hair that ran from his flat, tan stomach to his groin kept her attention, and she snatched in a she had snatched in a surprised breath at the clear chill of a desire that was through her. It had been a long time since she'd felt anything even close to passion. "What is it?" Angela tore her eyes away as she grabbed her blankets, sweater, and the heater. "I can't tell. Big and fast, whatever it is." She moved toward the ladder, leaving the rest of her things. She could hear the dog whining impatiently in the darkness below. Whatever it was, the wolf felt it too. Angela quickly climbed down, going for the door. "Oh my God!" That brought Marc from gathering their things, and he stopped in the doorway behind her, stunned. Thick orange flames licked up the porch rails of the house, and the tree line was ablaze in every direction. Even the air was burning, fat drops of acid rain catching fire as they hit a burning branch on the rail. It was as if the sky was on fire, and from the ground up, tiny sparks moving into the night like fire following gasoline. The rear of the garage was also sending up smoke, telling Marc that direction wasn't safe either, and he searched for an exit. Angie was still frozen, and Marc gave her a nudge as a wave of thick black smoke gusted towards him. He noticed that she cringed away from him, even in a moment of danger. "Back the way we came, and stay on my ass," he called over the growing roar of the blaze. They were rolling a few seconds later, tires traveling over hot, smoldering branches and limbs that had already fallen. The smoke grew steadily thicker, making it harder and harder to see as they went by smoking cabins and tall, flaming trees that were hot showers of sparks on their vehicles. Neither noticed the bullets that had barely missed the tires they were all aimed at. They slammed into the ground with hard, quiet thuds that couldn't be heard over the crackling, popping rumble of the fire around them. Smoke rolled across the road in thick waves, flames blocking their way in places, and Marc forced to lead them in and out of trees that had become horrible, giant torches. Dead limbs fell, thumping to the ground in geysers of flaming debris, and Angela followed him tensely, heart in her throat. They'd almost burned. It was hot and smoky. Her neck and face sweaty, cheeks streaked with soot, and Angela tried to keep her attention on his bumper instead of the flames. How close to death they'd been. Marc took them back the way they'd come, but instinct told him that Marc wasn't a natural fire. When the flames continued to get heavier, he turned them again, going west as sweat poured off him in a small torrent. The flames rose suddenly in a thick wall, and he keyed the mic. "Hit the gas, we'll go right through." They plunged into the fire at high speed. The heat rising, and they were through it, coming out unharmed on the other side. The temperature was instantly cooler, and the path Marc picked went downhill steeply, winding into more coolness with the long, bone-jarring bumps. The flames hadn't been through his brown and green terrain yet. Maybe they had gotten out in time because of Angie. They could still view the flames in their mirrors, though, and Marc went for the White Creek where they detected animals following the current. He eased them down into the half-foot of casually flowing water. He rolled slowly down the middle of the creek, hunting for the dirt path he'd only been on twice. It was nearly inaccessible to anything but a bike or a jeep, and it would take a fire a long time to spread up the hill. Spotting it, he headed them gently that way, being careful not to crush animals still darting into the water for safety. Remember how we used to ride dirt bikes behind Daniel's house? Yes. This is trickier. Stay a few lengths behind, and remember that an uncontrolled slide doesn't happen unless you hit the brakes too hard. Angela had to grin at his tone. It said he was eager for the next thrill, like they were when they were young. The fun they'd gotten together was something she hadn't allowed herself to think about in a long, long time. She hadn't been able to deal with the crushing pain, the anger without Kenny sensing it and reacting badly or violently. It still hit her at odd times when she was free to think about anything she wanted. "You lead, I'll follow." "Since when?" Marc shifted gears as adrenaline raced through him, and he could almost feel her catch his mutter and smile. He went up the steep hill with an easy burst of speed, and Angela counted to 5 before following, glad when he didn't seem to have any trouble with the dark path. His blazer fishtailed as it hit the top, brake lights flashing briefly before suddenly dropped out of sight. Heart in her throat, Angela hit the gas harder as she neared the top and only tapped the brakes as she started to drop into the thin air. She saw Marc halfway up the next incline, and then she had her hands full as gravity pulled hard. She landed on a narrow path that had shot downward at the awful left tilt, and the blazer slid heavily, thick globs of mud spraying the trees. Her hands worked the wheel, foot on the gas, and she just made the curve, shooting up the hill where Marc was disappearing. Her blazer slid to the right again when she made it to the top, and Angela winced as she scraped branches and trees, forcing her foot away from the brakes. She used her loose hands on the wheel to keep the teetering vehicle on the edge of control and was able to make the turn. Angela brought it gently away from the steep side, poured proud of herself, and jumped when his thought came across, flying at her. It gets bad from here. I'll tell you which way to aim for. She heard him clearly in her head, the worry but almost excitement, and was suddenly sure Mark would never let her go on alone. His sense of honor would be the excuse he gave himself, but it would really be the connection between them, the old hunger and restless need. Their lives, her life, had been in grave danger twice in the same 8 hours, and Mark, she had known, would never. She stopped the thought, not ready for the pain that would come with completing it. The trick would be easier on both of them if she remembered that the old Mark was probably gone. It wouldn't be best to get her hopes up. Book 6, you guys. The twins had come up and then down the steep miners' road much more slowly than Angela and Mark. They were barely able to make the muddy hairpin curves. As they reached the summit of the last dark, treacherous hill, Dylan pointed at the twin sets of brake lights disappearing into the foggy valley below. They watched for a long moment, but saw nothing else. Still going west. Meeting someone? Sees her if she goes far enough. He's in that area by now. She won't be able to handle all those men. Neither can we. Have to share? Nope. Exactly. We'll follow, but hang back. Let them think we died or gave up. Our chances will come. Dean dug through his kit for 2 capsules, glad to be traveling in the same vehicle together. He'd missed his brother's warmth. Start out again at daylight? Yeah. We know which direction she's going. We'll camp high before dusk each night and keep track by the lights or the fires. They'll relax. We'll take them off guard. We need a strong tranquilizer. Dylan's face was full of bloodlust and sharper knives. I want it to last. Book 7. Angela and Mark didn't stop. Excuse me, guys. Angela and Mark didn't stop until almost noon. They were both bleary-eyed and exhausted as they sat on the opposite corners of the tailgates with the tuna sandwich and coffee she had made. Mark had gassed their vehicles while she cooked. The layer of grit in the sky appeared thicker despite the heavy rain the night before, and Angela tried to avoid looking at the suburbs of identical condominiums that were crammed together across the field. It sickened her to see how many yards, windows, and corpses of starved pets. Most of them appeared to still be hoping for the masters who had left them to show back up with their awful fate. We have to come to some terms before we go any farther together. A sweet smile of relief lit her face and made Mark suck air into his lungs that felt too small. It was no wonder that he'd never gotten over her. No one else hit him this hard. Mark watched her happiness cool, and he knew instinctively that she was waiting to determine if she could pay the price he was about to demand. First and most important, I'll teach you some basic defense and how to use a gun. Mark knelt down by the bumper and worked with his small toolkit while he talked. Angela nodded, frowning at the thought of being close enough to him, to any man, long enough to learn something like that. Okay to both? Good. We'll plan routes together and share the chores. I'll keep my distance as best I can and still protect you. Mark said as he removed the brake light bulb and placed it in a long bag with his ones from his vehicle. In return, I'll need more than an introduction. It can wait until you decide about your man, but then they'll both have to be told so I can spend time with my son. Angela frowned again. The things he wanted were reasonable, but there was great fear in her heart. Agreed. Anything else? Yes, I need to know things about your life. We can leave that for now when you're ready, but on the way I'd like to tell you about Charlie. Everything I missed, bedtime stories, any pictures you have. She gave him a small smile that didn't reach her cold eyes, and he wondered what about his words that she hadn't liked. All of it? Angela gave him another nod, a thin smile. Is that it? Good. Now I have conditions. First and most important, we will travel every day. I'm in a hurry and I want that clear up front. Second, you're in charge, but when I say to change direction, we do it. We'll use the maps, but I'm tracking him too, and trust me. Marc thought she sounded like a mother bear protecting her cub. To a man who hadn't had anything but guilt and loneliness for a long time, even before the war, it was attractive. Agreed? Next. Next is last. When we get there, do as I ask and abide by my choice. I want no violence if it can be helped. You'll see that I get time with Charlie even if we have to sneak. Her voice was shaky. Yes. You'll protect us from Kenny even if it comes to blood? The open fear in her expression hurt him. With my life, baby. The answer fell easily despite the years between them. When she thought, they'd only nodded again. Marc caught the fact that she didn't tell him that it wouldn't come to that. What was he walking into? Then I agree. Mindful about keeping his distance, still stinging from it, Marc didn't put out his hand until she did hers. He recognized her reluctance, saw her almost draw back before placing her small fingers against his. Lightning flashed, forking into thick clouds that rolled across the sky as the lovers touched. Electricity sparked, threatening to sweep them into the past. Marc let go. He wasn't a man of his word. For Angela, the silence of the crash was deafening, but she didn't apologize for the small theft of some of the healthy energy. She was almost sure he hadn't noticed anyway. Her oddness was something that she had planned to rely on now and would have to get used to. Kenny couldn't. Hadn't even been able to consider accepting her for what she was without using it for his own gain. Would Marc be different? She stood up, began cleaning their lunch mess. Only time would tell. Come on, Sir Lancelot. I'd like to make another 3 by dark. Marc snapped a stiff salute, and Angela glanced away before he could see the disappointment. Had a tiny part of her lonely heart been hoping that one of his conditions might be another chance with her if he decided not to stay with Kenny, or if she had decided not to stay with Kenny? She shut and locked her car door, swallowing the bitter pain. That was exactly what Angela, the old Angela, had been waiting for, and it was a struggle not to cry as she shifted into gear. That's the end of the 7th one. We're going to stop there. We're 17 minutes in. I don't want to get into another long one like last week. But as you can see, it's all starting to pull together. The old lover and the new lover and all the crud that goes in between, I don't have to tell you guys about it, is starting to take shape. I think that the 2 guys that are following them are probably going to be in for a rude surprise when they finally catch up. They should have probably finished them off a long time ago, but their time's coming for sure. I'm positive. All right, you guys, that's it for story time. I'm going to be putting out one more video today. I want you guys to be paying attention for it. It's going to be part 1 of a series, and I'm not going to tell you anything about it. It's going to be a sneaky Pete one. So till next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you out there.